Hello YouTube, it's Inner Beauty Love. I'm coming to you today. I wanted to talk about some of the things that have really bothered me, just how sometimes people can be so insensitive with the things that they say and not really think about others' family members and things like that. I am going to talk about depression, suicide. I'm going to talk about some of the signs of depression. I'm going to talk about PTSD. I'm going to talk about suicide. And this is something that's really near and dear to me. I'm going to share a story with you of a person that meant so much to me, but I lost that person to suicide. He completed suicide. And I'll go into how, I helped it, what helped me to cope with this situation. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to protect his name because I feel like, although I'm telling his story to help others, I'm protecting his name as far as if, his family sees this, it could trigger a feeling or a thought in their mind. Okay. When I was in 10th grade, or excuse me, when I went to high school, I started high school, of course, 9th grade. So I met this person, very sweet person, met him in my Air Force ROTC class, and just a wonderful person. We developed this friendship. We talk on the phone, and just a great guy. Our sophomore year, he felt comfortable enough to share with me, or ask me the question of, Yolanda, have you ever thought about suicide? For me, I've never thought about that. I really had to stop and think about that question that he was asking, because at that time, I'm a teenager. I was 17 years old, and no, actually 16 years old. And so I really had to stop and think about that question, because it had not been long that before that one of our other classmates that we went to school with, completed suicide. He committed suicide. He completed suicide, and it was a very somber year for a lot of my classmates. So when he said that question to me, I basically stopped and I told him, we all go through things in life, and that is a long term. I said, death, you can't come back from that. We go through things, and I said sometimes what we have to look at is, this is a short-term situation, but that's a long-term solution. You can't come back from death. And at that time, like I said, I was young. I lacked, I was basically ignorant to the subject. I didn't know a lot about suicide at that time. I didn't know a lot about depression. However, I just knew that I needed to be in contact with that friend, just give him words of encouragement, talk to him, be there for him as a friend. And that's what I did. However, our senior year, we went on through our senior year. We all graduated. I went on to college for a year, and I came home, and it was during the summer months. And I had moved in with a roommate, and, my mom told me that, my friend had tried to call me. And I, at that time, I didn't know, until like maybe a couple days later that I needed to reach out to him. I needed to contact him, check on him, see how's everything going, and all of that good stuff. But I didn't, I went on to work, and I did my day-to-day task, and I got that grim call from one of my good friends, and that told me that he completed suicide. Um, you guys, that devastated me. He shot himself. That devastated me because at that time I was 19. We had just the year prior finished school. He had just had a son. That same year we graduated, so his son, he did it 7 days before his son's first birthday. I I felt like at that time I had mixed emotions. I didn't know that much about it. I didn't know, although I knew that he was going through something, I didn't realize that when he needed me the most, I wasn't there for him. And that hurt me. That hurt me so much. Um, I went to his funeral, and just the devastation of his, seeing his family go through go through this, seeing how hurt they were, and you know, wishing that they could have reached out to him as well, but he didn't share that with them. He shared that with me, 4 years prior, and I felt like I wasn't there for him as a friend when he needed me the most. And for a long time, I suffered with that. I suffered with knowing that, I had the opportunity to help this person, you know, by either telling him to go see a psychiatrist, walking him over to meet with a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and I wasn't there for him in that sense. So please forgive me. I'm still emotional about this years later. This has been over almost 18 years ago, and it still affects me because, like I said, he was near and dear to my heart. And now, moving forward, I took a class in college. I took a death and dying class in college, and that class helped to educate me on the realities of, depression, suicide, PTSD, just, a chemical imbalance. I'm speaking from, not from a psychiatrist or a psychologist level. I'm speaking from the heart. I'm tired of people saying that people are taking the coward way out. You don't know what someone's going through. At that time, I didn't know how much it had affected my friend. I didn't realize how much it affected my friend back then. I wish I was educated enough to know at that time what he was going through. Now that I helped to educate myself on the seriousness of this, I said no more. If I see or hear those trigger things of someone talking about committing suicide, if I notice a person's mood change, I'm on it. If I'm there to be that listening ear for my friends that I know that's going through things, I'm there, and I'm there to let them know you're not alone. You talk to me, you go seek help. You talk to someone that is educated. God created us and doctors to help educate ourselves on the things that we need. So I'm just going to go ahead and just touch on some of the things. And the first one I'm going to touch on is depression. The definition of depression is a severe dependency or despondency, a severe despondency and dejection, typically felt over a period of time and accompanied by feelings of hopelessness and inadequacy. There are telephone numbers out there to help you guys. There's a National Suicide Prevention Lifeline telephone number. please call. I'm going to post it below, but please call. The telephone number is 1-800-273-8255. I'm going to go ahead and also talk a little bit more about depression. And this information that I received is information from psychologists and psychiatrists about knowing the signs of depression, symptoms and warning signs, because there are, sometimes you can see things in a person that you know really well, but sometimes we ignore it, but, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it. Are you depressed? Identifying several of the following signs and symptoms, and they just won't go away. You may be suffering from clinical depression. You can't sleep, or you sleep too much. You can't concentrate or find that previously easy tasks are now difficult. You feel hopeless and helpless. You can't control your negative thoughts, no matter how much you try. You lost your appetite, or you can't stop eating. You are much more irritable, short-tempered, or aggressive than usual. You are consuming more alcohol than normal or engaging in other reckless behavior. You have thoughts that life is not worth living. Those are major signs of depression, and also warning signs. This is just going into more detail about it. Feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. Nothing will ever get better, and there's nothing you could do to improve your situation. That's what a lot of people that are severely depressed, that's what they feel like. They can't take anymore. They feel like they just don't, they don't see anything else. Loss of interest in daily activities. No interest in formal hobbies, pastimes, social activities, or sex. You lost your ability to feel joy and pleasure. Appetite and weight changes. A significant weight loss and weight gain. A change of more than 5% of your body weight in a month. Sleep changes, either insomnia, especially waking in early hours of the morning, or oversleeping, which is known as hypersomnia. So it could go either way. Some people sleep more, some people sleep less, and their mind is just going. And it's so important to recognize those signs. Anger and irritability, feeling agitated, restless, or even violent. Your tolerance level is low, your temper is short, and everything and everyone gets on your nerves. Loss of energy, feeling fatigued, sluggish, and physically drained. Your whole body may feel heavy, or even small tasks are exhausting or take longer to complete. Self-loathing, strong feelings of worthlessness or guilt. You harshly criticize yourself for perceived faults and mistakes. Reckless behavior. You engage in an escapist behavior, such as substance abuse, compulsive gambling, reckless driving, or dangerous sports. Concentration problems. Trouble focusing, making decisions, or remembering things. Unexplained aches and pains. An increase in physical complaints such as headaches, back pain, aching muscles, and stomach pains. So that's just a few things that, I noticed that, my friends suffered from. However, I didn't really understand, the seriousness of it at that time. And now moving forward, I have some friends that, that go through depression, that are bipolar, and I make sure that I contact them constantly, because I want them to know that, I'm here for them. Please, I constantly stay on them about seeking the care from their counselors. They're psychiatrists. Warning signs of suicide include talking about killing or harming oneself, expressing strong feelings of hopelessness or being trapped, an unusual preoccupation of death or dying, acting recklessly as if they have a death wish, and that means like speeding through red lights, calling or visiting people to say goodbye, getting affairs in order, giving away prized possessions, tying up loose ends, saying things like everyone would be better off without me or I want out, a sudden switch in it, being extremely depressed or acting calm and happy. So I'm coming to you all, like I said, letting you know the seriousness of this. You know, it hurts me so much that people could be so insensitive, and I know that it's because of lack of education, in realizing that people, sometimes it's a chemical imbalance. That's why, you know, people have to take medication to balance out their chemical imbalance, you know, to help them to prevent those thoughts of suicide or hopelessness, and, you know, to battle, fighting those battles of fatigue and sleepless nights or sleeping too much. So I'm telling you all of this because it is so serious. And I just want you all to stop and think about the things that you say, you know, and how it affects, you know, people's lives. You know, I've seen some really insensitive things that were said about Robin Williams. You don't know what this man is going through or what he was going through throughout his life. You just think because he was funny, he was a great actor, you know, that you have the right to judge him, you know, for him completing suicide. You don't know what he was going through. So I'm going to go on and talk a little bit more about men and women and the depression. It says that depression is true in men. Depressed men are less likely than women to acknowledge feelings of self-loathing and helplessness. Instead, they tend to complain about fatigue, irritability, sleep problems, loss of interest in work or hobbies. Other signs and symptoms of depression in men include anger, aggression, violence, reckless behavior, and substance abuse, even though depression rates for women are twice as high as those in men. Men are higher suicide risks, especially older men. This is amazing, you guys, that, you know, that we have to take it seriously. Let me tell you what it speaks about a depression in women. Rates of depression in women are twice as high as they are in men. This is due to the part of our hormonal factors, particularly when it comes to premenstrual syndrome, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, postpartum depression, and perimenopausal depression. As for signs and symptoms, women are more likely than men to experience pronounced feelings of guilt, sleep excessively, overeat, and gain weight. Women are more likely to suffer from seasonal affective disorder. So it affects us all, from young to old. It just basically goes on to, it goes over all of the listing of major depressions. But I want you all to take this seriously. Don't just go by what I'm saying. Look it up for yourself. You know, understand. Educate yourself. Take a class like I did to understand the seriousness of, you know, depression. To understand the seriousness of how people are affected, you know, by depression, by different disease like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and various other manic depressive feelings and thoughts. Educate yourself on this so that we can, as a nation, be more sensitive to, other people's thoughts and feelings, and help that person that may not speak out about how they're feeling, but but they're going through their feelings, and their feelings are valid. Like I said, it's not just about, a person being weak. It's not about a person just giving up on life. There's so much more than that. And I want everybody to take it serious. Also, PTSD. If you know of anyone that was in the military that went overseas, now, maybe previously to the Vietnam War, World War I, World War II, Korean War, Desert Storm, just talk to your family and your friends about this. Let them know that you are there for them. Even PTSD, that's a traumatic experience, and I'm going to read about that a little bit more to you. The emotional aftermath of a traumatic event can be every bit as devastating as a physical damage. Whether trauma stems from personal tragedy, a natural disaster, or other overwhelming life experiences, it can shatter our sense of security, making us feel vulnerable, helpless, or even numb. There is no right or wrong way to feel after traumatic events, but there are many strategies that can help you work through feelings of pain, fear, and grief, and regain your emotional equilibrium. Whether the traumatic event happened years ago, yesterday, you can heal and move on. And I'm just going to go ahead and just mention, if you know someone that was in the war, any one of our wars that I just mentioned, or the ones that I didn't mention, talk to them. Make sure that they're all right. Make sure that they're not, suppressing those feelings inside, because just because they're not showing it externally to you, sometimes internally it can be eating you up inside. And you just don't know how to deal with it, and sometimes it gets to that point where a person feels like it's the end for them, and they can complete suicide as well. So I'm saying all of this to let you all know this is serious. This is real. There's been famous actors, that have completed suicide. Robin Williams, just recently. The young man that was, I forgot on which series he was on, but he also completed suicide. Just know the signs. Look at the signs, you all. I know that I just want you to realize it's not just about somebody being weak. I know I just said that before, but I just want you to realize this is serious. We need to take it serious, and we need to help others that are going through things. I know that this is a long video, but I know that the things that I have said needed to be said, and enough is enough. I just needed to say this. I needed you to understand where I was coming from on a personal level with what I went through at the age of 19 with one of my friends that was near and dear to my heart. So I just needed you all to hear that. And I'm hoping that if you are going through this, if this video helps just one person, to understand the seriousness of the diseases that I mentioned, please, if it's you, get help. If it's for a family member that you notice that's going through this, please offer them help. Get them help. Don't just ignore the signs. So I just thank you for, watching this video, and I just thank you for, I thank YouTube for allowing this platform to reach others, you know, in other countries, in other cities, states, to get the word out there. You're not alone. You're not alone in this battle. You know, it's just how you choose to, you know, reach out. Sometimes people are reaching out, but they don't know how to actually say that they need help. They're reaching out to you by those cue words that I had mentioned, you know, but they don't know how to reach out and ask for that help that's out there. So please, please, please help everybody. Please, that you know that's going through this. Please help. Thanks so much, and God bless.